Hello and welcome to the 11th video in this tutorial series on how to make a planet defense game. In this tutorial we will be getting rid of the black bars which are on the side of our window at the moment, and this is normally something that's really simple. Normally you can put in this one line of code and it'll change what's called the scale mode of your hexflexel game. However, with our particular app, there's a few bits of code that we've used that have made this extremely difficult. So this episode is optional because I'm going to be writing some fairly hacky code to get around some bugs. So if you want to get rid of those black bars and learn one way of getting rid of it, then watch this tutorial, otherwise you can just skip it. I'm only doing this because someone specifically asked for it. So with all of that out of the way, let's actually get started. So yeah, let's create a new class, and what we are going to call this is just scale mode. So let's save this and call it scale mode.hx like that. And I'm going to do something that I would normally really not recommend. However, I am going to copy and paste code this episode, just this one file, scale mode, and that's because the code adds nothing to the tutorial. You can copy and paste it, you don't need to understand how it works. Basically it's the code that decides the camera size for the window, and it's really glitchy. I don't like putting this in a tutorial, but this is probably the best way we're going to get this window to look to take up the full window with no bars on the side. So I'm going to have a link to this file, and you can copy and paste the whole file, and I'll have a link in the description. So yeah, save this file, scalemode.hx, and let's make our window work with it. So if you open your menu state, because of course this is the first state that is run, this is the opening state, up the top we will just put flexg.scale_mode equals new scale mode. Now normally this is all you need to do. I'm actually going to show you the standard way of doing it, which is new flexel.system.scale_modes. And then you can choose one of these options to scale your screen with, and you can play with all of these different classes, and basically they just stretch your screen in different ways when you resize the window. But yeah, I'm going to of course create my own with scale mode. So new scale mode like that. So now that we've done that, we need to continue by making it so that it resizes the text width when the window size changes. However, before I do that, I'm just going to show you what it's doing at the moment. And that is that it stretches and we don't have these black bars on the side. However, it is not centering. So we can fix that just by listening to an event that's called when the game is resized. So just follow this, flexg.signals. So this signifies when different events occur, and we want game resized. So when the game is resized, call this function, and we are going to pass it a function, and it has to take two integers, and that's the new width and the new height. So I'm just going to put width and height there as the arguments, and then opening and closing curly brackets, and you should have a closing standard bracket and a closing curly bracket there, as well as a semicolon. And then in here we will just say title text, so this variable that shows planet defense, the title, dot field width equals width divided by 2. Now this is where it starts to get hacky, which is why I said you could skip this video if you wanted to. It is going to respond that the width is twice what it actually is. So you need to halve it everywhere that you use width or height. So I'm just going to change this to height here. And I'm sure this will get fixed. By the time that you are watching this video, it probably already is fixed. But this is the best way I can do it at the moment. So apologies for the hackiness of this code. Now that we're done with the menu, we can move on finally. Oh, we need to change. No, I didn't mean to change the field height, of course. I meant to change the instructions text field width. Just like that. So we're changing the width of the title text field and the width of the instructions text field so it can be centered properly. Now if we run it and we press space, our app works and it doesn't have these black bars, which is excellent. But if we resize it, yeah, it's broken because everything's responding as if the width is half what it's meant to be. Yeah, everything's offset. Now let's try and fix that now. So we will need to go to the play state here and what we will need to do is change some code up here. So for starters, we need to change flexg.width to be flexg.width divided by 2. Here and here, just like that. And we also need to make a new function, and this function will be called when we resize the window, and we can only do this in states. I'm writing really bad code, so you don't have to follow this video. I feel awful writing this bad code, but put override public function on resize, and this function gets called when the window resizes, and this takes a width and height. And let's call super.onResize because we're overriding it, and pass it the width and the height. And we also need to put here health text dot text field equals width divided by 2, and we might also need to do that for the money text, just like that. And here I'm also going to put in the update method, I'm going to put flexg.camera.follow and then pass it the player. And so every update it restarts following the player. Right, can't access field text field for writing. Okay. Okay, so this isn't meant to be text width, text field, sorry, it's meant to be field width. And now the menu resizes fine and without black borders, and also there are no black borders here. Now you'll see that this text is offset wrong, but when we move it, it's not. This is what I mean by it being hacky code. And the star field is also still broken, but now the player is centered, and this byte out button is off. So we still have a few things to fix, of course. Let's actually not divide the flexg.width for the health text, because we want to appear on the right, not the middle. Honestly, this code just gets really confusing if you apply this scaling, but it can be worth it because the game looks better. There we go, it's in the right position, and when we resize it, it's always in the right position, and the player is always centered. So now what we need to do is fix this star field, and that's going to be a little bit of work, so we better get started. Go to your stars file, and yeah, so we'll start making changes here. Alright, so here we are going to have to listen to an event or a signal like we did in the menu state that will occur when the game is resized. Let's copy and paste that whole bit of code there and paste it into stars. So all of the code in here will run when our window is resized, and we will have access to the new width and the new height. And so let's just first of all, we will set the width of this star field to be equal to width. Let's actually change this to be W and H. Right, so width equals W, height equals H. Set size for the stars to be W and H. That makes it wrap the stars properly. And then here we will make it so that it randomizes the stars. So randomize stars. And let's create this method. So below your update method, just put function randomize stars. And then in here, we will just put if underscore stars, which is a list of or a group of all of the stars registered in this flex star field 2D. So underscore stars is not equal to null, because basically when our game opens, it was just resized when it opens, and our stars may have not been created when the window is first open, that first frame. They may have not been initialized, so we have to check if they're null. And then here we just say for, so for every star in all of the stars, so for star in underscore stars, so basically for every single star in the list of all of the stars registered, the star's x position should be equal to flex random, and you should have this imported. It's really important that you have that imported. Import flexor.util.flexRandom, and then here just flexRandom.int ranged, and this will give us a random number between 0 and double the width of the screen, because of course we've got that bug in our code where width reports to be at half. So let's duplicate that line and change x for y and width for height. Just like that. Now there is another issue with this, and let's just see if this works for now. Yeah, there's one other thing I forgot. We need to make it when the stars sprite is resized. We need to make it so that the actual sprite image is regenerated. So to do that, we can just call make graphic after our set size. Call make graphic, and then the width will be flexg.width times 2. The height should be flexg.height times 2, and the color should be flexcolor.black, because it's a black background with the stars. Now it's really important here that you have imported flexor.util.flexcolor. And now if we run our game, the stars should appear right, the menu text should appear right, and all of the text in the actual game should appear correct. There's only one element that isn't working, and I'll show you that. So everything's working here, the stars are working, and when we resize it, all of the stars randomized on the screen. Um, and so the final thing which I wanted to do is make it so that this buy tell it button is centered. So to do that, we can just say where we center it normally, we have to do that every frame. So in play state, we center our button here with flex sprite util dot screen center tell it button. If you copy that and paste it here in your update method after super.update, then everything should be scaling at full resolution and it should appear fine. Right, so we can resize the menu. All of the text here looks fine and the stars look fine. And when that tell it button comes up, it's smack bang in the middle of our screen. So I apologize for the hackiness of this episode. Experts of Hexflixel will look at this video and laugh, I'm sure, because I've made quite a few silly mistakes. But it shows that even hacking things with Hexflixel, you can make some pretty cool stuff with not that much code. Like the amount of code in this episode wasn't honestly too much for fixing these black bars. Doing this in Unity would cause you just as much of a headache and it would feel just as hacky. No offense to Unity users. So thank you for watching if you did watch, and I appreciate you putting up with this. There's probably a fix for this already out by the time you're watching this video. And so yeah, thank you for watching this. In future episodes, I will be doing more interesting stuff, less hacky, like working with sounds. Thank you very much. Yeah, one other thing I forgot to put in this episode, sorry, is just around this make graphic with what's called a try catch block. So basically put try, opening the curly bracket here, and then make graphic, close curly bracket, catch, and then opening standard bracket, E, colon, dynamic with a capital D, closing curly bracket, standard bracket, opening curly bracket, empty line, and closing curly bracket. Basically, what happens is normally when you close the game, this game resized function is called, but the stars object may not actually be maybe null. So calling make graphic will crash the app, but surrounding it in try catch fixes it. That's to top off the hackiness of the rest of this episode.